We're live! We're going to be reading some scary stories / creepypastas. So earlier I did a live stream, which got deleted. We're not talking about that. But I did my hair blonde. This is the blonde. Isn't that cool? You can tell underneath mixed everything. So I'm blonde at the top. And it's brown down here. I actually really love this. Me and my sisters agreed. Second round of blonde, then crazy color. And the crazy color is going to be blue after I stay blonde for a little bit. So I found this app. I'm going to unplug this. It's not fully charged. Don't unplug your stuff when it's not fully charged. I'm doing it because I'm smart. But this little app here has scary stories and creepypastas. What are you called? Creepy one. It's creepypasta and scary stories. So there's a bunch of creepypastas and scary stories. Essentially, it's all it is. So there's this one called Duolingo. I think it's based off the game. Well, it's not. It is a game. It's an app, though, that helps you learn different languages. It's how I'm learning German and Portuguese. But that's essentially what it is. So, yeah. So, it starts off with, I don't want to live without my cheese slicers. Cheese slicer? I could live without a cheese slicer. It's fine. The cats wear shoes. The vegetables do not like vegetarians. None of that makes sense. Sometimes Duolingo, smartphone language app, exactly, comes up with strange sentences. Always seems to make me laugh. Oh, I get that. I get a lot of sentences when I learn Portuguese that are like, horses do not eat cats. And it's all like, I didn't ask that, but that's funny, I guess, because it's weird and random. It's just there. Okay. But lately, there's been a glitch with the app. I've been refreshing my German. Their mother is a retired German teacher and spoke it to them growing up. However, at 29, after years of almost no contact, they got married. Apparently, his mom is homophobic. Okay. That's a long sentence to just say his mom is homophobic. And wow, this story. Why can't I read properly? And then finally they went to patch things up and they've forgotten a lot of their German, I guess. And they don't want to lose their knowledge, and German can be useful for his work. So they decided to take a placement test and then start from the basics again, rather than start from the basics again. I understand that when you sign into something else and you want to take a placement test instead of having to redo the basics. Yeah. That does get annoying. So their understanding is great, but they can't spell and have little grasp of the grammar of the gender of items. Everything in German has either a masculine, feminine, or neutral gender. Yeah, I get that. That confuses me a lot. It's a pain. Arschk. It's German, and I can't pronounce in German. Anyway, the weird glitch they had been experiencing due to, with the questions, one required to speak in the language they've been studied. The app works fine, as does their microphone, and they got the answer right. Doesn't seem like a glitch then. But they don't think the app is having them say ordinary German. Their skills might not be there where they should be, but they know what German sounds like. The sound was similar, yet at the same time very different. It It's writing out the same alphabet as the German sounds, only rougher. And they recognized the word Valhalla, German, I guess. And a few times the vowel sounds were quite different. The pronunciation was getting better, still confused them. So they wrote a note to the app maintenance and said they think there's a problem with the German course. Some speaking practice questions aren't in German, but in our language, probably Nordic in origin. So they sent them a screenshot of one such question. They responded quite quick with, "We didn't put that there. Are you sure your app is up to date and you're not using a hacked version or playing a joke for the internet?" And they said, "I should have waited until April Fool's to send you this report then. But since I don't want to lose my 280-day streak of practice, the rest of the program is fine." And I have kept using Duolingo. However, they did send a screenshot and recording sound pronounced the words for them to their brother, who had traveled a lot, and to a German professor at a former university, and hoped they would share it around with professors. While they waited for a response and kept at that, weird things happened. Global warming had changed the weather patterns lately, but whatever. They practice outdoors and says one of the weird phrases. I hear I hear thunder or see lightning. And often a storm starts soon after. And they're working on it for a while and working out. And they hear sounds of footsteps behind them, a separate breath. And there was an unnerving, and it was unnerving, of course. If you thought someone was behind you, it's the most unnerving thing in the world. So they tried to stop using the app, though they mourned the loss of their 280-day streak. Oh my word. It didn't work. They lost some time of the next day, and when they, for the lack of a better word, woke up, found themselves in the middle of a lesson, and they couldn't seem to stop using it. So, and it was something strange. They practiced and came across one of the strange phrases while sitting on the patio. Looking at a field in the park across the street, there was a clap of thunder that shook their eyes in their sockets. Interesting. And they saw a huge formed gray figure come down from the sky, but it vanished a moment later as they stumbled over how to pronounce the last word. Just a few minutes ago, they heard back from their brother and professor, and their brother thinks the glitch is just Icelandic mixed in. And after they sent more of them, he still thinks, though he's confused about the total absence of modern words in what is supposed to be a 21st century game app, the professor had shared the glitch around, and finally it reached medieval history colleagues of his, and they received an email with both of them copied onto it. It's an Old Norse. It's Old Norse. And given the strange happenings and the fact that they can't seem to put Duolingo down, they're afraid of what would happen when they finally get the pronunciation right. So it's a haunted app? Interesting. Trying to find another one. It's not going to take 100 years to read. I don't even see creepypastas here. I see scary stories. So does that technically count as a creepypasta because it's about a game? That I'm unsure of. Could be. Alright, I'm going to my other app. It's just called Scary Stories. I download a bunch of scary story apps and I read from them. So with these categories, we're going to read beings and entities. Why not? Now let's see. Oh, this one's called Mr. Widemouth. Let's read it. Hide and seek. I don't think I've heard of that story before. I wonder if I look it up in a different area because it's not. Okay. Give me a second. I lost the app. I found it. I'm good. This was called Hide. I can't find hide and seek. Is it a creepypasta? Because I don't know what it is. Oh no, I lost the other one. Great. This one's called The Poem of a Fractured Mind. I lost the other story. The Flying Dutchman. These are creepypastas, right? You mean no? They just scary stories? Because I have no idea what they are. Oh, yeah. I think I've read this story before. Actually, now I feel super dumb because I have read this. Okay, so Hide and Seek is a scary story about two young brothers who are left home alone. So, here's how this story goes. A mother leaves her sons home alone so she can go over to the next door neighbors, and I think they're playing cards. And she's gonna play cards with the adults. She tells the kids, "Oh, stay home, lock the door, don't let anyone in, no matter what." So they go, "Okay." So the younger brother goes, "Hey, dude, do you want to play hide and seek?" The older brother goes, "Oh yeah, sure." Playing along with his little brother. They were very close, so they both hide. Actually, one hides, the other one counts. The older brother counts, the little brother goes and hides. The little brother hides in a corner of a room or in the shower. Hides in the shower, in the bathroom. And the brother walks into the room. This is an apartment, so it's not that big. There's not very many places to hide. So the brother goes into the room, and in this room, there is a closet. And all of a sudden, he goes to the closet thinking someone's in there. And all of a sudden, the older brother puts his hand in, and someone grabs his hand, grabs his arm, and starts pulling him in. So the brothers got scared, and the younger brother heard his older brother screaming because the brother started screaming and helped him pull his arm out. They closed the closet, and not knowing what to do, they ran out. And they never figured out what was in that closet. That's how that story goes. Now, the Flying Dutchman. That one. Okay, this is a poem. I have no rhythm to read a poem. So I don't know why I chose that one. It has nothing to do with the Flying Dutchman, though. Nope, if you could write right. I'm going to look it up. I'm actually going to Google it. Apparently, there's a movie called The Flying Nun. I found that out. Didn't know that. Like, what do you want to hear about the Flying Dutchman? Like, the history, legendary ghost ship? That one? I've read this one too. Wait. It's a scary myth. Okay. So, I read the story because I remember I was like, this sounds, every time I hear the Flying Dutchman, I think of SpongeBob. And I had a bunch of people being like, yeah, SpongeBob is all you can think of because it was up in everyone's childhood. You have to admit it. Everyone's watched SpongeBob at least once. I've read Robert. Basically, if you see this ghost ship, you're eventually gonna die. That's how it goes. It's in another one of my live streams. This story is kind of long, so I don't want to read it again. It takes up way too much time. And I could read a bunch of different stories I haven't read before. And I've read Robert. That's a doll who belonged to a boy named Otto. I think his name was Otto. Eugene, because Otto is their last name. Eugene Roberts Otto. And he owns the doll. And he says that the doll's possessed, and his name is Robert. I don't know if Jeff the Killer's backstory is too dark. I will look. I'll look. I'm not promising anything, but I'll look. Because there's just some things I can't read without YouTube being like, you sure? You sure about that? And I'll have to be like, are you sure? Are you sure I can't read that? I'm old enough to read scary stories. These are things that happen. It's not, there's no blood, guts, nothing I have to worry about. It's just sad. Is it sad like I think it's the puppeteer? Not the puppeteer. What's his name? I'm 100% sure it's the puppeteer. With his girlfriend Amara, and he dies. No, not that sad. I looked, and that's all I saw. I can't help but laugh, even though it really did jump me just a little bit. Okay, I'm good. Okay. Jeff the Killer is a 2011 story. Who the hell made that picture? Okay, wait. What is Jane the Killer? What does Jane the Killer have to do with Jeff? Oh, whoa. You said this story did not have anything I had to worry about. I think carving a smile into your own mother's face is kind of gruesome for the fact they describe that. Ew. Oh. I'm not reading that. I'm not reading that. That's gross. If you can think of another story, I'll read it. He's also the one that sits there and he tells you to go to sleep. I do that to Elizabeth. I will say go to sleep, and she's like, you're not freaking the killer. And she get mad at me. Why do I have so many notifications? I don't want them. Okay, I'm good. Do you have any other stories? I clicked on a random link to Creepypasta stuff. So, yeah. I did that. Yeah. What's this? No. None of this. Do I want any of this? I don't want to read this. Leave me alone. Classic creepypastas. So what are other classic creepypastas? Like Slenderman? No, stop it. I'm not ready for that. Oh, Jeff, Sally. I will not read Sally's story. I've read that one. May told me to read it. I read it. Not on camera, obviously. We got Jane the Killer Clockwork. I've read Last Jack. Oh, or since Lillian's on here. Elbowless Jack. Does it get dark? That story, not Elbowless Jack. I know how that story goes. Eat your kidneys. Okay, so this is based off a Zelda character named Link. Apparently, it's what said. It's what said. Don't get mad at me if that is wrong. His name is Benjamin. Benjamin's a cute name for a kid. No, I didn't mean eyeless Jack. I meant elbowless Jack. I mean what I mean. Okay, so Ben was first encountered by Jaduzable when he bought and played the Majora cartridge.
Not with them toy. Is it really
brutal? Okay, so apparently I can't read creepypastas then.
You mean clockworks? They have no zombie hoods.
May never told you her, so I'm supposed to believe her. Okay. Okay. Yeah, close door. Door. Thank you. Slenderman, Sonic EXE. I've read that one. Jason the Toy Maker. I've read that one too. The Puppeteer. I need to know if that's the story I'm thinking of. So. Yes, it's the exact one I'm thinking of. I had to yawn. I'm sorry. This one's called Dr. Smiley. Okay, so this is on Wiki Fandom. So, Dr. Smiley. We'll start with his origin and then his appearance, just the way they have it listed here.
Hey, Boo, I've drawn that in read.
What?
Written read. Oh, what will be that one?
Let me write it down, and then I finish this, and then you can have your story.
Come on, boy.
Then get food. It's not my job. The origin of Dr. Smiley. Unlike regular doctors who try to save the patient's lives, Dr. Smiley welcomes death and seeks to help his patients embrace it. So basically, he kills his patients. Operating outside, a dilapidated-looking small building, which is a run-down building, and chipped paint. Shutters hang by small strips of wood and cardboard covering the windows. Dr. Smiley lures sick people and off to the streets and seek free treatments. So once they are inside, however, the patients are injected with unknown bluish liquid before being strapped to a table. Dr. Smiley then waits for the victim to wake up and then cuts their bodies with a scalpel until they bleed to death. That is gruesome. After which he removes one of their organs as a specimen. I do that because it's in quotations. His appearance. Dr. Smiley is described as a young man with ghostly pale skin and shaggy black hair. He's usually described as wearing a button-up shirt, with a tie, surgical latex gloves, and long white lab coat. And he has incredibly sharp teeth and piercing blood-red eyes. His personality is sadistic, taking great pride in mutilating his victims, preferring his victims to be awake as he gruesomely operates on them. Despite this, he seems to be sincere in believing he is helping his victims and that what he does for them is a good thing. Interesting. I didn't know that. Hiccups. Hiccups. All right, this one. It's a bunch of videos. I'm not watching a bunch of creepy videos. It's not happening. I won't do that. This one's called Lazari. No! Oh. It's called Lazari. Lazari. Oh, she's part of the Zelgo family. There's two types of creepypastas. Ones that work for Zelgo, ones that work for Slenderman. This is what May has explained to me. So I know nothing about creepypastas. I just like reading them. I don't get straight into them and know every little detail about every different category. I just read them. So, one set on my leg. Okay, so Zelgo took the form of a human named Evan Harrison, tricked a human woman named Loretta Swan, who was a religious zealot. Don't know what that is. Who was part of a cult that did unspeakable things for the graces of God. It's in quotations. I will read one non-scary story after I finish this one. In thinking that this would give her a child that she wanted because she was supposedly unable to have children. And they later had a baby named Lazari. With Zelgo and Loretta had a baby named Lazari. So Lazari exhibited no demonic traits until she was at least 4 years old. And she killed and ate demonically possessed neighbors. Okay? Lazari's mother then chained her to the basement walls, keeping her completely isolated from the world, and would torture her on the constant basis in order to purge the demon. This continued for 4 years until Loretta finally had enough and took her daughter out to the woods and got rid of herself right in front of Lazari. That would do something to your child. There's more to that, but I don't want to touch on that subject. So, yeah, what kind of non-scary story you want to hear? Let me open a new tab. I said non-scary story. No. You realize, Talbot, you are such a pain. I didn't want you to go to Harry Potter. That's not what I told you to do. We're going to find non-scary stories. Just one. I promised. This is called Stories for Children. It's American literature. So, okay. Let's be honest, if these stories are the originals. Little Red Riding Hood gets dark. Mary had a little lamb. Mary had a little land. That's funny, actually. We have Jack and the Beanstalk, The Three Little Pigs, Velveteen Rabbit, Alice and the Shoemaker, The Snow Image, Father Frost, The Snow Queen, Snow White, Cinderella, Snow White and Cinderella. Those get dark. The Gingerbread Man who gets eaten by a fox. No one thinks that's scary. Thumbelina, Tales of Peter Rabbit. They were Alice in Wonderland, but that's a long story. That'll take a long time to read. My Father's Dragon, I've read that one. No, let's do the Princess and the Pea. 3 pigs. I'm with that one too. You want to hear 3 Little Pigs? I saw Harry Potter. That's lovely. My sister Seffi's going to sleep, so if you hear that, ignore that. It's fine. She's fine. She just doesn't want to go to sleep. But what child does? We're gonna set this over here. Nope, because it doesn't want to sit there. I'll set it here, and I'll read this. Oh, I have hiccups. I hate hiccups. Ready? I'm gonna hold it. I lied. Once upon a time, there was an old mother pig who had 3 little pigs and not enough food to feed them. Wonderful. So they were old enough. She sent them out into the world to seek their own fortunes. The first pig was lazy and he didn't want to work at all, and he built his house out of straw. The second pig worked a little harder, but was also too lazy and built his house out of sticks. And so they sang and danced and played for the rest of the day. The third pig, however, worked very, very hard all day and built his house out of bricks. It was a sturdy house, complete with a fine fireplace and chimney, and it looked like the world's strongest. It could withstand the world's strongest winds. The next day, the wolf happened to pass by the lane where the 3 little pigs lived. When he saw the house of straw, he could smell the pig inside. Oh, that's gross. I know what's going to happen. And he knocked on the door, said, "Little pig, let me come in." But the little pig saw the wolf's big paw through the keyhole and answered back with, "No, not by the hair on my chin." Then the wolf showed his teeth and said, "I will blow your house down." And so he huffed and puffed and blew the house down. The wolf opened his jaws very wide so he could eat the pig. And but the first pig escaped and ran away and hid in the second one's house. Now, the wolf continued down the lane, and then he passed by the second house of straw. Yeah, they both made their house out of straw. Sticks. And he saw the house, and he could tell the pigs were inside. And so he knocks on the door. "Little pigs, let me in." And obviously, they see him, and they're like, no, we're not letting you in. So the wolf's like, "Yeah, I'm blowing your house down." So he huffed and puffed and blew the house down. The wolf was greedy and tried to catch both at once, but he got neither. And the wolf chased them down and almost caught them, but they made it to the brick house and slammed the door in the wolf's face. The 3 pigs were frightened because they didn't want to get eaten. Who wants to get eaten? They're all like, "Yes, let's let the wolf eat us." Does anyone think? Jordan said, "Let me in." And they respond back with, no, you're not coming in. And so the wolf goes, "Yeah, I'm gonna blow your house down." He tried, but he couldn't. But this was too much. The wolf did. He climbed onto the roof, but then the little pigs made a fire and put a pot of boiling water down. And the wolf fell into the water. The pigs put the cover on and ate the wolf for dinner. Now tell me, that's not a dark story? The wolf gets eaten. He tries to eat them. He tries to kill them. Someone dies anyway, but people die in my stories all the time. So, I got a bunch of notifications. It's fine. We'll do one more scary story. No, let's go from the app creepy one. Let's read from there. This one's called Neighbors. You will never see your neighbors the same again. This week, it's in first person. This week I moved into a new house. The house itself was lovely with 2 stories, 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and a fenced-in backyard, a big kitchen. The tree in the front yard was very tall and does a fine job at blocking their living room windows from the streets. The water pressure is fabulous, the closets are large, and the wood floors are new. The only problem is so far the neighbors are rather loud, and their houses connect on one side. They can hear them banging around in their kitchen, watching loud movies, and they can hear a small child crying. It was a bit tiring, but nothing they can't live with, I suppose. So you hear a child crying constantly, you don't think to do something about it. Okay. Now, to get direct to the thing that really concerned them was when they were in the shower that morning. They usually have music playing while they're in the shower. Oh, that reminds me of Kansas. And I almost read the same line again. But today they decided to enjoy the silence. The activity was fairly uneventful. Until they were in the middle of washing their hair and heard their neighbors talking from the other side of the wall. They couldn't make out what they were saying, but it sounded strange to them. It seemed like they were mumbling something, whispering, and occasionally loudly laughing quietly. But they couldn't figure out how they could hear them, evidently speaking quietly. Now they thought they must be staying absurdly close to the other side of the wall in order to be so audible in the shower. They didn't think much of this incident until they were leaving for work an hour later. As they started to open their car door, they turned back to the house like they had forgotten something, looked up at the bedroom window and realized their neighbor's house shares a wall to the opposite side of the house. On the other side of the bathroom lies their closet. Oh my gosh.
What?
That's dumb. So, your neighbor, you see your neighbor.
Naked?
No, that'd be freaking creepy as hell. No, you see your neighbor in your bedroom because there's a wall that's on the other side of your closet. Is there a hole to your closet? They walk into your house occasionally.
I bet you see your neighbor's naked, Ruby.
Oh, Lillian, that's gross. Okay, but yeah, that's all the stories I'm reading for now. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!